And so with that, let's flip it and let's take exactly that case study and let's apply it to business. Let's imagine in this scenario now, we've got a leader of a team, so a business leader, with their employees, their team. Okay? Let's flip it. Let's imagine that you're a CEO, you're leading a team, and you're going through rapid growth. The company's doing well, the organization is growing, you are experiencing a huge catalyst, you're a rocket ship. And with that, it is necessary for the future success of the organization that you as the CEO raise expectations. You drive for innovation. There's a lot of change occurring. You're moving fast. All of this is necessary. Now, if you're listening right now as a business leader, I'll give you a straight analogy of what's happening under our feet right now. The movement of our floors is absolutely palpable because AI is here. And it's not happening over the coming years, it's happening over the coming months. That's an example of change, and it's occurring. So here you are, boom, we need to move fast, we need to innovate, we need to evolve, expectations go up. It's a really, really exciting time. But this CEO's company, team, start to show signs of burnout, disengagement, frustration, almost resentment. There's not a cohesion. Why? Because this CEO is delivering pressure without a supporting structure. So what's missing here? There's no consistent team cadence going on. We're not providing any recovery after big projects, the series of sprints that occur. It's the next thing, it's the next thing. Every single week, every single team member finishes their week of work feeling like they still had 10 other things to do, and those 10 other things layer on top of the next 10 things that are stacked up the week following. And it's accumulative. There's also not a clarity of focus, not just on what the emphasis should be on, but also, most importantly, what it shouldn't be on. There isn't a rigorous process of prioritization. There's no space in this environment for reflection, for feedback, for course correction. There's no sense of psychological safety as well. Everybody on this team is committed. They're working really, really hard. But there's no system of support. There's no catalyst to create the conditions of a high-performing team. And so the company continues to grow, but you have a team that is getting ever detached, ever splintered, frustrated, and burnt out. Ultimately, the performance levels are going to drop. And so this is a catalyst for this leader to fix the balance here. The change that needs to occur is very, very simple. We need to set up systems for the long term, for sustained high performance. So what might that look like? Well, I'll just give you a few examples. The first component is setting the conditions and starting at the top where there is a prioritization, a focus on every team member looking after themselves as a human being, personal well-being, ensuring that it is culturally the norm for people to be able to integrate daily exercise. They're encouraged to eat really well, to make sure that they're not compromising sleep, at least on an ongoing basis. Sometimes that's necessary. We have big deadlines and projects that you have to hit. We're not living in utopia. But as a habit, prioritizing sleep, encouraging people to take on personal challenges, to step away from the challenge occasionally. And every single time, this can culturally only be infused through an organization and team if the leader is living that life, setting the standards and being the role model. But beyond that focus on personal well-being, there are some structural things that need to occur on the common practices of that organization. Every single week, having strategy huddles. Okay, there's 50 things we can focus on. What are the 3, 4, or 5 that are the most important this week? What are we going to deliberately move to next week? What can we execute really well so it doesn't turn into chicken casserole, but instead it can feel like, as a team, that we're creating progress, a mini victory. With that emerges from these sessions clarity of role. This is my role within this ecosystem. This is what success looks like for the team. This is how I influence it. As this team goes through little landmarks, little projects that you complete, integrating times to have a breather, to have a step back, not just layer on the next thing because we're in fast, high-speed growth, but instead say, we're going to pause for the long term. We're going to have a day, we're going to have 2 days where you just settle, nice and control. And as you go along, continually, the CEO pausing, helping the team reflect. This is the success that we're achieving, celebrating great effort, great iteration, not just outcomes, not just markers of financial success, but actually how people are contributing, celebrating individuals. And ensure that this leader is modeling all of these behaviors from a focus on personal well-being, from taking transparently time to reset, but ensuring that their team can do the same. And also responding to all of the change, not getting distracted, continually focus on those commitments. It is the same pressure, the same demands. This organization is growing rapidly. They need to innovate. They need to ensure that they can be thriving through change. But now, with that high pressure, they have systems to support performance rather than draining it. It is the same thing that a coach does with an athlete as a leader can do with their team. So what does this all mean? Well, if you're listening as a leader, reflect a little bit. When you think about your day-to-day, your week-to-week, when you're integrating all of the demands of your life, whether it comes from family, whether it comes from work, whether it comes from travel, etc., and you lock in all of the demands of your training that you're executing to get ready for your big goals, are you in a state of high demand in which you're thriving? Or are you in a state of chronic stress in which it's harmful? Are you feeling like every single day you're in a fog of fatigue and you're just surviving? I would set every single week what you might call an agency audit, what we call at Purple Patch the Sunday special, where you have a little check-in with yourself. What did I do last week that was great? What did I do last week where I really struggled and didn't execute as well? And now what do I need to do this week when I'm planning all of the components of life? My life commitments, my work commitments, and of course integrating my training and habits. But in that moment, where do you feel overwhelmed? Where can you insert some more structure, some more support? Are you, if you're coach, leaning into your coaching relationship, asking for support, being transparent, not just waiting to be told what to do, but providing feedback on that? And build this as a habit loop so that it can support your hardest training sessions with really, really good habits and a smart understanding of what you're looking to achieve. Of course, it goes beyond. If you want to improve your capacity, you've got to fuel well, you've got to sleep well, you've got to set the right mindset. But these are the things that you can do as an athlete. And of course, the final component, after all, I am labeled the recovery coach. Make room for recovery. And this isn't just physical recovery. This isn't sitting on the couch and wearing a set of compression boots. This is time to turn your back on the sport, give yourself a breather, and emotionally recover as well. You need to be equipped for the long term. If you're a leader or you're a coach, well, I said it again, high pressure, setting high demands, that's your job. You don't want to go easy. You want to make it tough, but make it safe. Provide great support. Audit your own weekly structure. Ask yourself as a leader or a coach, does my athlete or do my team members know what great looks like? Do they understand this week what we're going to drive towards? What does success look like? Because you don't want good. You don't even want great. You want world class. But does every team member understand what world class looks like? Do they understand their role in it? Do they have an agency on how they can influence and move along that continuum from good to great to world class? If not, you need to set a structure where that clarity is given. This is what we are focusing on. And build in structurally, the same way as we do with athletes, building time for a magic high performance habit, reflection. You also want to infuse recovery, great strong feedback loops, being open. That's the way that you can start to ignite and develop a high-performance culture. And ask yourself with your team, are you setting high demands, but just driving the wagons like that employees are just commodities? Or are you challenging people and providing the support, investing in the support to ensure that they have agency and they have their toolkit to meet the demands, to thrive? Because when things get into a vortex of performance predictability is when you have a highly engaged, motivated team on a shared mission with great systems of support that are driving towards a common goal. That's where things start to accelerate.